What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mikasa Sukasa Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Finn, and today we're going to talk not only football, but we're going to talk a little bit of basketball now that the NBA playoffs are kind of set. We're kind of going to go through what I know a little bit about the matchups. I'm not the biggest basketball follower in terms of, I guess, in comparison to how I know football, but we'll talk a little bit about what I like and my predictions there as we kind of look into the NBA playoffs. But first off, let's talk about the hot news here, and that is the Dallas Cowboys have cut Dez Bryant, wide receiver Dez Bryant, who, I mean, he's put up 70-plus touchdowns in a short amount of time. And while he's in, I mean, not short amount of time, but he's been in the league for a minute. He's had some dominant seasons. We know that Dez is a very talented receiver, even though it's kind of his production has dropped since picking up Dak Prescott. And we'll talk a little bit about what I think about that production level, if that's more of a reflection of Dez, if it's more of a reflection of Dak, how much Zeke Elliott plays into that. But really, the biggest thing is Dez saying, as he was walking out, saying, I guess I'll see you guys twice this year. So indications that Dez has kind of put precedent on making the Cowboys pay for that. So I think the Redskins become the best fit. I do know the Giants at wide receiver already have Odell, who they have to pay, Sterling Shepard in the slot, Evan Ingram. So having Dez on the team would make things better. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to be like when they signed Brandon Marshall last year, who's aging, kind of seen in the back end of his career. Dez Bryant to the Giants is ridiculous, and that becomes one of, if not the best receiving core in the NFL at that point. I mean, Dez Bryant, Odell Beckham Jr. I'm trying to think what team would have a better receiving core at that point. I mean, the Lions have a solid receiving core, but it's not dominant like that. Spitballing, man. Just to think Odell and Dez Bryant on the same receiving core. I don't really see a better situation there. The Redskins are the most logical choice, really, because they lost Terrell Pryor, Ryan Grant's gone. They do have Jamison Crowder. Jordan Reed can't stay healthy, so Dez Bryant to Washington would be the expected. Dez Bryant to Philly is kind of out of the question. It just doesn't really make sense to set at receiver. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, Alshon Jeffrey is a lock. Nelson Aguilar stepped it up big this year. They did let Torrey Smith go. I don't think Dez really has a role in the Eagles offense, but who knows? But I would say if you're expecting a shocker from that division, it would be him popping into the Giants, and that really changes things because there's a lot of talk about possibly going quarterback or not going quarterback and trusting Eli. But when you go and grab a guy like Dez, it means you're ready to win now. And we know we can win with Eli because they've done it twice. So now the next question is, at the number 2 pick, are you going to pick a quarterback and try and develop while you have guys like Odell, Sterling Shepard, Evan, who are all on rookie contracts? But now you have a guy like Dez Bryant who has now transcended the offense that much more. So do you grab Saquon Barkley and complete the offense and roll with that? Do you trade back to a quarterback-needy team and maybe look to grab some picks? I know the Bills have 2 second-round picks, so maybe you see a trade back and they address the defense. You know, Eli Apple had some concerns last year. Landon Collins is still an all-pro safety. Janoris Jenkins, when healthy, is one of the best man corners in the game. They picked up Alec Ogletree in a trade with the Rams, so they're trying to fix issues at linebacker. They lost Jason Pierre-Paul. They have Olivier Vernon, who's one of the most underrated 4-3 pass rushers in the game. So you could see them grabbing Brandon. I don't know if you want to trade back if you feel like Brandon Chubb will be there at 5. Is it Brandon or Bradley? I think it's Bradley Chubb. I always get that name wrong. But if you trade back, there's the chance to grab Chubb. There's the chance to grab Quentin Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame. If you trade back to the Bills and try and get 2 second-round picks with the second pick so that they can go quarterback, there might be situations there where you address, like I said, linebacker. You have Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech, who would be there for the picking at 8 or 12 or whatever the Bills are picking now. I think it's like 12 and 20 or something like that. 12 and 22. You would have definitely, Minka Fitzpatrick if you wanted to go corner safety combo. You got Ohio State's Denzel Ward. So very interesting if Dez goes to the Giants. That offense becomes very much win now and very capable to win now. They did go and grab Jonathan Stewart, and they have Paul Perkins at running back. Do I think that's the answer? No. But I think they don't go Barkley. I think they would trade back, and they would go second round or running back later in the draft. If they could pick up another second or whatever, you can address running back. I mean, Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara were both like third-round picks, late-round picks. So Jordan Howard, another guy that was like a third-round selection, maybe even later. So we know we can get value at running back, especially in a running back-loaded draft. So trading back after signing Dez would make sense. Not going quarterback for the Giants, but really going win now. So there's a lot of things that could happen if Dez is really has his heart set on staying within the NFC East. If not, there's a lot of other options. I know Baltimore is in need of yet another quarterback or wide receiver who's approaching 30. A lot of situations there for Dez Bryant. I know Todd Gurley reached out, told him to come to LA, but I don't know how much money LA really has with having Sue, Peters, and Aqib Talib to the roster this year. So who knows? Tyrann Matthews reaching out, telling him to come to Houston. So really that's kind of the big news today. So here's the thing too is what does that mean? Well, first off, you got to remember, and I don't really know too much of the Dallas Cowboys cap situation, but just because a player gets cut doesn't mean they're not still NFL capable. Look at Richard Sherman, who got cut by the Seahawks mainly for cap issues, and that's just Seattle not really having any space on cap and knowing that they're only getting older and they're not in a position to win now like they were 3-4 years ago when they had Marshawn, the best defense in football. Now you got guys that are Cam Chancellor might not play football again. I still think Earl Thomas is still the best free safety in the league, so let me chill there, right up there with Harrison Smith. Bobby Wagner is probably the second best middle linebacker in the game, possibly the most productive middle linebacker. I love Luke Kuechly. I think Luke Kuechly is the best, but I think from a production standpoint, it might be Bobby Wagner from what I'm looking for at middle linebacker. Michael Bennett's gone. He's in Philly, so you got Frank Clark, Sheldon Richardson. Malik McDowell's a huge question mark if he's even going to come back and play or how effective he's going to be. So there's a lot of, KJ Wright's getting older, but once again, another talented linebacker. Richard Sherman's gone. So even with Sherman on that team, it's not the team that it used to be, and there's so many holes with Jimmy Graham gone and a big question mark at running back. They had Chris Carson, that kind of showed flashes before he got hurt. But either way, the running game was Russell Wilson very specifically. So I don't see a reason for them to keep the old talent. But when we're talking about Dez Bryant and the Dallas Cowboys, you have a young quarterback on a rookie deal. You have one of the league's top running backs on a rookie deal who's done with the suspension, and a game-changing running back. We've seen that. Cole Beasley. There's a lot of talent on that team, and they're paying like $20 million to guys that aren't even on the team anymore with the cutting of Dez. So it doesn't make sense to cut that value to me. I feel like it had to have been something locker room related, and I hate to throw that term out there because it's like saying Dez is a locker room cancer. Like, I don't think so, man. Dez is like one of those transcendent kind of athletes. The kind of guy that you could really just get the ball up there and let him make a play. And he can still do that. And don't get it twisted, man. It was not Dez Bryant's injuries getting the best of him. Now, I do think Dez Bryant struggles with separation, and I think that's because you can say diverse route tree. A lot of people throw the he only runs 3 routes kind of moniker on Dez Bryant, but I don't think that's the case, man. Dez is really good at what he does. He's one of the best, if not the best, jump ball receiver in the NFL, rivaled probably by DeAndre Hopkins or AJ Green. one of the best guys after the catch. I mean, hell, big Dez Bryant used to return punts when he first came in the league. That dude, he's got some moves, he's got some power, he's got some ability. Many think that with the leg injuries and the different injuries he's had, he can't really run routes as well and get separation. But I think one of the biggest things we saw was how different an offense is from Tony Romo to Dak Prescott. And the Dallas Cowboys crew and fans, they don't really like to give Tony Romo the credit that he deserves. But at the end of the day, Tony Romo was a phenomenal quarterback. He was one of the smartest in the game. He was one of the toughest in the game. And he was just really, really good at quarterback. And to jump down to, I mean, we can say a third-round guy, but Dak Prescott was pretty much a fringe first-round talent at quarterback from Mississippi State. He got the DUI, and that's why he dropped, was the character's concern. So it wasn't like he's this unknown prospect. Like, people really like Dak Prescott, and I believe he's performed well in the Senior Bowl, and there was a lot of things on the up and up until he ended up getting a DUI, so that doesn't really help you at all. But, yeah, Tony Romo was really good at football, man. And you get a new quarterback, timing changes, the read. I know I've talked about this podcast before, but the Tomahawk podcast, Andrew Hawkins and Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns, so much insight. And one of the things, this was the Johnny Manziel episode, and we'll get on to Johnny Manziel. But Johnny Manziel came onto the show. Gosh, how many times can you say Johnny Manziel in like the span of a sentence and a half? Came onto their show, and they talked about his time in Cleveland and playing in comparison to guys like Brian Hoyer and some of the other quarterbacks, Josh McCown there. And one of the things Andrew Hawkins was talking about was how he liked playing with Johnny because Johnny got everybody the football. He said a lot of times with certain quarterbacks, they would have their guys, especially on certain plays, like they would have their guys. And he said this story. Sorry if I get it wrong, Andrew, but Andrew Hawkins was telling this story about how he had caught a ball, got hit, got a concussion, and he was talking to his buddy afterwards in the hospital, and the guy was like, "Man, you were having a good game." And Andrew was like, "I don't remember any of it." And they were like, "You're having a good game. You had like 6 catches." And he was like, "I have 6 catches." Johnny was playing quarterback, wasn't he? Which says me 2 things. One, I think it's funny, of course, that that concept of this guy will get me the ball. He's fun to play with versus a guy that's going to throw to his guys. I think he said Brian Hoyer really liked Brian Hartline or something like that. And then 2, really dangerous because this guy just doesn't even remember the quarterback that was playing, which means he has completely forgot who had prepped all week after a hit, and he probably played the next week. Maybe not, but CTE is a very real thing, and that's kind of what I took away from it. So that might be the difference between Dak. We know his guy is Cole Beasley, and we know that with a young quarterback, you'll do this thing called splitting the field in half with your reads. And what that is for some who don't know is obviously with guys like Tom and Aaron and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers. I don't even know if you want to throw Russell Wilson in there because that offense is so diverse. And by diverse, I mean Russell Wilson running around in circles, making plays on his own. But here's the thing with those guys. They're going to read. They have the experience. They have the game planning. They have the coaching staffs to allow them to go in there and read, and the entire field is available at any time. With younger guys, whether it be young guys like Cam Newton or Mariota that may not have come from very pro-style offenses in college, so their transition was made easier. Guys like RG3 with Mike Shanahan and Colin Kaepernick with Jim Harbaugh, sorry. The whole point is this quarterback might not be ready for this, let's open up the whole field, and you have to make reads and progressions. We hear stories about these athletic guys like Michael Vick, who said that he never went to the film room and never applied himself and never really cared for it because they had the abilities to make up for that. So one thing they'll do is they'll make the reads easier. You'll split the field in half based on a numbers or alignment, whether it be, it could be multiple things. Where's the pressure coming from? Where's the linebackers aligned? How many safeties are there? What is our play? How many guys we have over here versus over here? And pre-play, if you can get half of the field decided for what you're going to do, might make it easier. It's especially easier when you have Ezekiel Elliott, who led the NFL in rushing yards this first season in the league. It's also easier when you have the best left tackle under the age of 27, and now that Joe Thomas is retired, you might have the best left tackle in the NFL. You got the best center in the NFL. You got the best right guard in the NFL, and maybe the best guard not named Marshall Yonda in the NFL. So with the protection, with the run game, and the ability to utilize play action, Dak's feet, and being able to take the field in half, that's where you saw the success early. But now that, with the 6-game suspension for Zeke, with injuries to Tyron Smith, and then needing, trying to, after a year of film, these teams adjust. You see guys all the time, RG3, Colin Kaepernick, Vince Young, mobile quarterbacks that made plays with their legs, that showed accuracy with a good run game. That was a big thing, is all those guys had good run games with them. Vince Young had 2005, 2006 Chris Johnson, like CJ2K time frame Chris Johnson. RG3 had Alfred Morris, and now you may be going, Alfred Morris, really? Alfred Morris was a 6th-round rookie that went for over 1,000. Now, that was in a Mike Shanahan offense. Mike Shanahan came from Denver, and you may know because, Mike Shanahan could make anybody run for 1,000 yards. He could make you run for 1,000 yards within his, within his scheming. So very smart coach is able to bring out the most of the rushing attack to allow a guy like RG3 to develop. Colin Kaepernick, even though these quarterbacks are all a part of that top rushing attack, Colin Kaepernick had Frank Gore, and I wouldn't say the prime of Frank Gore, but the end of the prime of Frank Gore. Still churning out 1,000-yard seasons. So that's kind of an outlier for guys like that, including Dak, where they're very mobile, very talented. They make the easy read. They can make good throws, but they were all accompanied by a rushing attack that really took a lot of the pressure off. And once people adjusted, once the run got locked down a little bit, and once you're forcing somebody to make reads, there was a lot of missed reads. And I feel like that was the issue. And with growing frustration for a team, you don't want to throw away your quarterback, right? As much as we think, as much as we look at the tape for Dak and we say, he's not ready, he's not the quarterback of the future, yada, yada, yada. The point is he has put together a good season of football, I think 13-3 season of football. They feel like he has it. They feel like this team is talented enough. And quarterback is more important than wide receiver. So if you feel like the quarterback spot is filled, that's very cheap. We feel like we can bring in talent to work around it. Cole Beasley has obviously thrived in this system. I think Jason Witten is kind of holding them back in terms of what you can get out of the tight end position. Don't get me wrong, I love Jason Witten. Dude is one of the best ever to play the game. Surely a yellow jacket or a gold jacket kind of guy. But the NFL tight end position is changing, and Jason Witten is not what the new tight end is. The new tight end is your Travis Kelce, your Evan Ingram, your Jimmy Graham, these very athletic guys that can almost play an inside split receiver while being able to block. And Witten's just kind of past his prime. He's not very fast. He does what you need him to do, but he's not the new NFL tight end. So if they could target that at some point in the draft, that could be, and just the fact that he's still being able to play is a testament to how good at tight end he really is. Think about him. Think about Antonio Gates in L.A. for the Chargers. They grabbed Hunter Henry, and Hunter Henry has played very good from Arkansas. And you still got this dude getting the football. Antonio Gates is still getting reps. Is still getting starter snaps. So just a testament to how good those kind of guys are. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit here on Jason Witten. But I just think they need to move in a different direction here soon, especially at the tight end position. Dez is a question mark, man. Many thought that they were just looking to get a pay cut. Looks like that wasn't even offered. But I don't think this is really an issue of... I don't think this is an issue with Dez Bryant in terms of his play. I think it's just it wasn't working. He was costing too much. There's a thing here. For example, this is a Reddit post. It's actually a tweet. I don't know who the tweet is from. Let me go ahead and open this up because I'm not going to just start quoting somebody else's stuff without giving credit, right? See if we can get this. This is Joel Corey. I don't know who Joel Corey is. He is a former sports agent, NFL contracts, and salary cap expert. And he does NFL contract and salary cap articles on CBS Sports and Football Post. So this is a guy who, he's got a decent following, and he knows a little bit about contracts in the NFL, and I would almost say subject matter expert. So this is what he said. He said, the timing of Dez Bryant's release illustrates the importance of getting first or third day of league roster contract The timing of Dez Bryant's release illustrates the importance of getting first or third day of league year roster bonuses in the later years of big contracts when possible. With such a roster bonus, Bryant would have been on the open market when teams were spending wildly on wide receivers. And what that really means is just talking about how, when these bonuses are going to be allowed to have. So he got his done later. The point is since he got his roster bonus later, at a later date, they were able to keep him on the team for longer to make adjustments, and Dez Bryant would have been open and probably would have got crazy contracts in Baltimore where people have him going because they spent that crazy money on Ryan Grant and then mysteriously had a physical failed. So Ryan Grant didn't get that money, but that's just one of the little inner workings, I guess, we can talk about on why people get released or what the benefit of contracts. And it might be another thing that when we're talking about athletes holding out for contract deals, the little things, you're like, well, you're making so much money, but there's a method to the madness, and they may not be wanting to give up because, having your availability, if you're due a roster bonus on the first day of free agency and a team doesn't want you anymore, well, at that point, they can, they're going to cut you if they don't want you anymore. They're not going to pay you. That way, you're not on the roster. They don't have to pay that money, and then you can go in the prime of free agency. But now free agency has died down a lot. Like, there's not any big name free agents that are on the market anymore. The last one that really got signed was Ndamukong Suh or Eric Ebron. That I can think of. So now that Dez Bryant's the guy in the market, most teams have are really ready for the draft at this point. So I don't even know if we're going to see Dez signed to a team until after the draft, unless it was like I mentioned earlier, the Giants. I feel like Bryant to the Giants rhymes and is a really good fit because it's what Dez wants. Do they have the money for it? I don't know. They do have a lot of young talent on that team. I don't know how much money is tied up in Eli Manning. But I do know that trading back means you're going to pay less for your first-round rookie. That could save money. I think you could make the moves to let Dez Bryant go, to sign Dez Bryant, make somebody else go, and be in a good position on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think you go Barkley. I think you try and trade back, and you're looking for Chubb. If Chubb isn't there, you're looking at corner. I think Denzel Ward is going to be available. I think you could go linebacker. I mean, when was the last time the Giants had a linebacker that was a star guy? John Beason, but he got hurt when he was in Carolina, and he was one of the best linebackers in football. So I think that you grab Alec Ogletree, right, from the Rams. Ogletree has experience in the 4-3 at both inside linebacker and outside linebacker. I think he plays better as an outside linebacker. He really thrived his first couple seasons in the NFL when James Laurinaitis was with St. Louis at the time and played inside linebacker. They moved him inside linebacker in the 4-6 or in the 4-3. Sorry. In 2016, he got a Pro Bowl, but Pro Bowls are, whatever. He may have actually been All-Pro second team, but even then, it wasn't. I mean, there was just more of a shortage at linebacker, inside linebacker, like high-level play, and I think he just had a lot of tackles and a high-volume defense for Greg Williams at the time. And then he didn't do too well last year when they switched to the 3-4 under Wade Phillips. So I think if you trade back after signing Dez, you can grab two key defensive pieces. You can grab a cornerback. Either go cornerback first and get Denzel Ward and then grab a guy like Roquan Smith, I don't think Tremaine Edmonds drops past the Raiders or the Niners. You got to be careful because I know the Packers are in need of a linebacker as well. There's the talented Vander Esch, I think his name, or something like that, from Boise State. He plays inside linebacker. So you could do that, hoping that one of those guys falls to you. If say ideally here they traded with the Bills, and the Bills have picks. Let's see. Let me go ahead and pull up the NFL draft here and see what I think the best bet for them would be. NFL draft order 2018. Also, if you want to just go ahead and secure that running back secure that linebacker that you really, really want, you can just grab him first. So Buffalo picks at 12 and Buffalo picks at 22, right after the Bengals. So this is what I think we can do. The Giants sit at 2. It's going to cost more than 2 firsts to get up to 2, but Buffalo needs a quarterback. It really depends on how much faith they have in A.J. McCarron, but I think moving up for a quarterback would make sense. They also have 53 in the second round. So let's just assume they get those 3 picks for number 2. 2 first-rounders and a third-rounder. Say they get in a future pick, whatever. The Bills aren't going to want to move completely out of the second round, so that puts them at 12. So we have the Browns going quarterback. Bills in this situation going quarterback. Jets going quarterback. Browns are going to be picking again at 4. I think that they're going to select Chubb at that point. I really think they'll select Chubb at that point. Broncos will probably go Quentin Nelson. So you probably see that guard go off the board. The Colts at 6 may grab Saquon Barkley. The Buccaneers, Bears, Niners, Raiders, that's when we're going to see probably a receiver go, probably Calvin Ridley. We're probably going to see a linebacker go. If you can get Denzel Ward, Minka Fitzpatrick will probably go here. If you can get Denzel Ward at 12, that's an absolute steal. I mean, one of the best cornerbacks, the best cornerback in the draft, unless you're Brett Coleman and you have a real hard on for Oliver from Colorado, but he's a real long and lanky guy, and he looked talented. His tape looked real good. Is he a fit for the looks that they're going to run out there in New York? I don't know. But you can sure up that secondary with Denzel Ward and then go linebacker later, or grab linebacker there at 12, and then later on in the draft, I mean, the Ravens they're old on offense, so they're probably going to go offense. Many have the Cardinals going quarterback, whether it be Mayfield, whether it be Lamar Jackson. Packers are probably going to go defense. Seattle's going to probably go offensive line. I could see them going corner to replace Sherman at 18. They do have Shaq Griffin. They do have Byron Maxwell. That's what I was thinking. Got Dallas. You got Detroit. Detroit at 20, they're probably going to go guard or they're going to go pass rush. I know they like Landry, or I like Landry from Boston College. Bengals, I don't know what the Bengals are going to do. I haven't really watched a lot of Bengals football, to be honest with you. I'm not a big AJ Green guy. So anyways, Buffalo seems like a good spot to grab a linebacker at 22. You can go, or if we grab that linebacker at 12, down here at 22, we might see Josh Jackson, the cornerback from Iowa. We might see Alexander, the cornerback from Louisville. Maybe grab that Oliver guy that we were talking about earlier. So there's going to be options there in the secondary. I mean, Derwin James is going to go somewhere with in the top 22. So there's going to be corners available, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. And I think that would be a great move. I really think that would be a great move for the Giants, is grabbing Dez, solidifying your offense in the let's win right now. Let's do it right now. Now, that's tough too, because it's not like the NFC's up for grabs. And it's not like the Giants are I mean, the year before they were a fringe playoff team. They actually made it, I believe, because they beat the Cowboys twice. I don't know if they made the playoffs in 2016. Last year they weren't exactly great, but I mean, with Odell gone and hurt for the whole year, I don't really know what kind of difference that makes. Sorry, I was getting a little message here. So that's what I would do. And then in the second round, you're going to have your pick at 34. Maybe go running back. Maybe go Darius Juice from LSU. Load it up. Maybe go Nick Chubb. Maybe go Sony Michel. Now you've completed your offense. You have your tight end of the future. You have a quarterback that can get the job done from a leadership standpoint. You have Odell, a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. You have Dez Bryant, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. You have Sterling Shepard, one of the better rising young slots in the NFL. Sorry. So, pretty much, I think that's the best move. Sign Dez, trade back, get those 2 first-round picks from the Bills, address the defense, and really with the leadership that you have, you have pass rusher in Olivier Vernon. You have a cornerstone at strong safety. You have veteran leadership in the linebacker core with Alec Ogletree. I don't see a reason why that team can't contend for the division. Now, does that mean they're going to beat the mighty Eagles? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think they can steal a win and make the wild card. And that's the whole point of football here, is to win football games. Make it to the playoffs. Give your team a chance. And I don't know too many DV groups that can stop Odell Beckham Jr. and Dez Bryant, and then have to worry about Evan Ingram absolutely exploiting your safeties and linebackers at that point, because you have to double cover. You have to give a safety to both Dez and Odell. Not a cornerback in the NFL is going to be able to take Odell by himself, so there's safety help. So now you have to have safety help on Evan Ingram, or you have to have safety help at Dez Bryant. And this kind of goes down to the same situation that they were having in Kansas City, right? Where this is why I think Kansas City's offense started to falter, is you had Tyreek Hill, fastest player in the NFL, in pads, without a doubt, explosive athlete. So you're going to have help over the top there. Okay, cool. Well, we also have Travis Kelce, who will absolutely abuse any cornerback, any linebacker, and any safety you put on him at any point in the game. He'll just abuse him. We've seen it over and over and over again. So you have to have a safety there. So now in that situation, you now have Chris Conley lined up one-on-one with a cornerback. But here's the thing. Chris Conley? Who's Chris Conley? Who, as the average NFL fan, I don't know who Chris Conley is. He's not a top 10 wide. He's not a top 50 wide receiver in the NFL. Let me tell you about Chris Conley. Chris Conley's 6'3" and currently holds the record for the highest vertical in combine history. So I got a guy who's 6'3" and jumps higher than everybody else in combine history. Okay, cool. He also ran a 4.3 40, so he's faster than almost everybody. So when we're talking about physical ability, think Julio Jones and Calvin Johnson in terms of body type. Maybe not body type. Calvin Johnson was big. Julio, they're their own elite ball skill ability guys. But when we're talking about pure athletes, it doesn't get better than what you're going to get in Chris Conley in a one-on-one situation. Now, it's up to Chris Conley to execute at that point, and I think he was doing well until he suffered an Achilles injury at the end of the game right before the Steelers. And then, to no surprise, the next week, it's like the Chiefs' offense completely got locked down, because with the original lineup, you have 2 safety over-the-top help to allocate to Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Chris Conley. And all 3 are mismatches in their own way. 2 of them because of skill, 1 because of just pure athletic ability. And he's going to beat your best corner, but he's not playing your best corner. He's playing your second best corner because your best corner is playing Tyreek Hill. So cool. I'll take Chris Conley's speed one-on-one with anybody's cornerback 2 in the NFL. At any time, I will. Not to mention, we have all this going on, and then you have Kareem Hunt, the NFL's rushing leader last year, right behind, running it down your throat because you have all these people playing coverage. Okay? So that's the main issue that we had with Kansas City. It was matchup issues, just winning the matchup game, and that's one of the good things that Andy Reid does, and that's how you win in the NFL, is you just exploit matchups. Well, now with Chris Conley gone, because, all right, so what do? We have 2 high safeties. We have to allocate more people deep to not get beat on the deep ball. Okay, cool. Well, Tyreek Hill now is taking hitches and screens for however many yards he wants. The run game is wide open, and Kansas City just completely demolishes you by taking what they get because they have one of the best quarterbacks at doing that, which was Alex Smith. Whew. I say all that to say this. It would be the same thing with the Giants. It would be. Now, Eli holds the season record for the most interceptions in a season, so let me pause there when we're talking about guys that can take over and make smart decisions all the time. But Eli is a vet. Eli is a very underrated quarterback. And I think he can thrive in that offense because we've seen him thrive before. Anyways, let's talk about the NBA playoffs. We've talked about Dez Bryant. We talked about all this stuff. Let's talk about the playoffs. Let me scroll down here and make sure I get all my matchups. We got the Raptors versus the Washington Wizards. Do I really watch a lot of the Raptors and the Wizards? No, but I do know this. I do know that DeRozan is one of the best guards in the NBA. And I think that I think I need to watch more basketball. I mean, 1 seed versus 8 seed, you tell me. I like John Wall. I know John Wall's a talented guy. I just feel like we're going to see the same. I think we're going to see the Raptors. I mean, with the injury to Kyrie Irving in Boston, the Sixers being a young team, so you really don't know. They're a wild card in terms of are they going to be able to perform now that the pressure is, and the basketball is a whole lot different, playing the same people night in, night out. I think the Raptors are considered probably the second favorite behind the Cavaliers for the East. And you say, oh, they're the 1 seed. You tell me if you think anybody over LeBron is going to be, if you think anybody over LeBron James is going to be in the finals for the East. Next, you have the Celtics for the Bucks. Look, man, Celtics grabbed two of the best. I mean, Celtics grabbed two of the top NBA two top NBA talents this offseason. Both are not going to be playing in these playoff series. You got Jason Tatum, you got Brown, you got Al Horford, you got talent, but none of these guys are going to be the game changers that I think Tatum can be, but I don't think when I need those ISO buckets, Kyrie's the best in the game at it. And Kyrie not playing, and now you have the issue that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. At some point there's going to be trading of buckets, and I just think this is the time for the Bucks to shine. They have all the talent that they need. They have a top 5 NBA player on their team that completely transcends and changes the game completely. I just don't think there's enough. So I really think that I think the Celtics with Kyrie, I think they win against the Bucks. I think it's just too much. But without Kyrie Irving, without the main ball handler, I think you got to change a lot. And I think you just get a different taste of things, a different flavor with the backup guard that they have. So Bucks, I'm going to take Bucks. I should be saying what I think in terms of the games. I don't think the Raptors sweep the Wizards. I think that'll be a 5-game series. So 4-1 Raptors. I think they'll lose game 3. Yeah, they'll lose the first game in Washington, and then they'll win the next night, and then they'll win the one after that when they go back. So they'll split the Washington games, win both games at home. I don't think the Bucks are going to sweep the Celtics either. I think this one goes to game 6. Yeah, I think that one goes to game 6. I think it ends up going 3-2, and they win game 6. Why? I'm guessing. I don't know. I think there's just I trust Brad Stevens to adjust. And I don't think you're going to get away with one of the best coaches in the NBA with a sweep. I think there's going to be enough talent there that they work around that, especially with a guy like Jason Tatum. So the Sixers and the Heat, man, I need to watch more Heat basketball. I like my boy Winslow. They got that big boy. Man, what's his name? Hassan Whiteside? Is that the name? Whiteside, yeah. Hassan Whiteside. Sixers, man. I mean, you got Markelle Fultz, who you're talking about the first overall pick in the NBA draft, and they only need him to play like 6th man or the 7th man off the bench. And we're getting triple-doubles from the bench now. They're in the flow. His confidence is back. You got Ben Simmons, who, I mean, he's the only 6'10" true point guard in the NBA if you don't count LeBron James. Even then, he's taller than LeBron James. Game changer. If Embiid is healthy, I think that's a sweep. I think out of all the games on the East that can be a sweep, I think the Sixers versus the Heat will be a sweep. And we'll just do the I think Cavs lose a game against the Pacers. I think we should just do the East right now. We'll just talk about the East. We'll talk about the West at the next podcast. So, actually, should I? Should I do that? No, because the games are going to get played here soon. They'll get played on Saturday. All right. Cavaliers against the Pacers. Lance Stevenson, Victor Oladipo. I mean, they're fire, but I don't know. It's LeBron James. I'm going to go 4-1 Cavs. Yeah, I'm going to go 4-1 Cavs easy. So we have the Cavs going by. We have the Sixers going by on the sweep. We got the Bucks going in on 4-2. And then we're going to have the Raptors going in on 4-1. Let's talk about the West a little bit. Rockets, Timberwolves. Sweep. 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 Sweep, sweep, sweep. Sweep, sweep. Just, I love Karl Anthony Towns. But, sweep. Sorry. Golden State Warriors versus San Antonio Spurs. I mean, they haven't been the same. But, and you had the best coach in basketball, Greg Popovich. I think the Spurs win. And it's like, whoa, what? What's going on? Kevin Durant? Klay Thompson? Really? Against the Spurs? I think this one goes to Game 6. 4-2, Spurs. I think Greg Popovich is going to outcoach the Warriors. 7 seed versus 2 seed. I think he's going to get outcoached. That's what I think. Warriors gone first round. Trailblazers versus the Pelicans. I don't watch a lot of Portland Trailblazers basketball. I do know Anthony Davis is fire. I don't know. I'm going to go higher seed here because I need to watch more basketball. I do like Damian Lillard. I did see something they were talking about. If you replace Damian Lillard with Steph Curry over these last couple seasons in Golden State, the result would be the same in terms of dominance. So, I mean, really, I don't know too much. I know Dame. I know CJ McCollum. I know we got Anthony Davis. I think this game might be different if you got Boogie in the game, but he's not. And I think that the backcourt play is gonna be the difference there. Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Utah Jazz. This is interesting. You got Rudy Gobert, one of the game's best defensive players in the league, versus Steve Adams. You got Russell Westbrook, should be an NBA MVP candidate, but James Harden's on another level. But you got, one of the best pure scorers in the NBA. You got Paul George, and you got, what's his name? Carmelo. Why do you forget Carmelo Anthony's name, man? You got Carmelo Anthony. The Jazz have Ricky Rubio. Donovan Mitchell, Rookie of the Year candidate. Rudy Gobert. The matchups, man. The matchups. The ability to just, if Paul George plays anyone remotely close to Paul George that we've seen before, and the Paul George that's been kind of coming out recently, I think that's going to be a sweep. You'll know me. I'm the biggest Ricky Rubio fan. I love watching Ricky Rubio play basketball, but I don't see a situation where, I don't see a situation where the Thunder don't absolutely go through the Jazz here. So we got the Thunder going through, we got the Trailblazers going through, we have the Spurs going through on our biggest upset here, and we have the Houston Rockets sweeping the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think if it took being 1-on-1 to 1-on-1, not scoring in the last minute and a half, tells me enough about the Minnesota Timberwolves to the point where I don't fear James Harden, Chris Paul running straight through them. That's just how I feel about it. So, anyways, man, we talked a little bit about Dez Bryant. We kind of touched some of the other teams. We did get a little bit into the Chiefs. I didn't really plan to talk about that at all. And we talked a little bit about the NBA. Now, before we get into shredding me on my NBA talk, guys, I am not an NBA analyst. I am an NBA fan. I just kind of watch it on the side. The goal is to learn. We would love, and we have in the works to bring on a couple NBA players onto the podcast in the Mikasa Sukasa network to talk a little bit, whether it be pro guys, whether it be some semi-pro guys that we know, and that'll kind of help bridge the gap. I would love to do some film reviews if that's something you're interested in for you NBA fans, is seeing some film breakdowns and kind of understanding of offenses at the high level, because that's something I don't know. And that's something that I want to bring in terms of content for a podcast, because me getting on here and talking for an hour and a half about things that I know, we're going to run out of about 20 podcasts in. We're going to run out of stuff for me to talk about in terms of just being able to up the cuff. So I want to bring in some guys. I want to do some interviews, but I want it to be real interviews, something that you want to see. So until then, let me know what you guys want in the comment section down below. Please please subscribe if you want more sports content here on the Mikasa Sukasa network. I don't want to steal Niko's line of find your balance. He did that to me. I don't know if you saw, but me and him had a conversation about Colin Kaepernick, and we were exiting out, and he's giving out the outro, and then he just goes, "Remember, everybody, find your balance." And then he goes, "Peace." And I actually cut the video, but I almost want to show it because it's just cringy. Like I didn't know what he was doing. He didn't tell me. So he was just like, "And remember, everybody, find your balance. Peace." And then I was just like, "Peace." And it was the most awkward thing ever, because it was just like, oh snap, I'm messing up my video here. It's the most awkward thing I've ever seen in my life. So super funny. I want to upload that and show, but at the same time, I might have to just delete that and pretend it never happened. So anyways, thank you for watching. If you watched all the way through here, my mic has had some issues. So if you're having issues with volume, let me know so I can try and fix that. I got the big rig here set up, but for some reason my volume is super low. Anyways, once again, thank you very much. This has been the Mikasa Sukasa Sports Podcast.